Hey guys, Speeder here. You asked for a scripted video, I'm ready to deliver. Today we're going to go over the Prodigy with the Limitless Curse technique and the 6 eyes up against the Magicless Peasant from Hodge. This fight is going to be the epitome of hard work versus talent. I'm not going to do much of an intro, let's just get right into it. Before we actually start scaling these characters and go over how they're going to beat each other in a fight, we need to go over some battle conditions, just 2 of them. Number 1, we have an open field with no obstructions or debris. I don't think it really matters where they're fighting, unless they're fighting somewhere. Never mind, let me not spoil anything. Gojo's going to start off without his blindfold so that he can use any technique he so wishes at the beginning of the fight. Asta's going to start in his Berserker form that was shown in the Dante fight. Even though Asta turns into like just this mindless beast in this form, because Lieb is controlling him, I think his anti-magical power will make up for it. So in order to have these characters fight, especially with Asta's anti-magic, we are going to have to equalize the verses in some way. For simplicity's sake, Cursed Energy will be the equivalent of Sinister Mana. Positive Energy, or the inverse of Cursed Energy, will be regular Mana. Cursed Techniques will be equivalent to spells, and Mana Zone will be just a fancy domain expansion. I talked to Six, I talked to some other people in trying to make these verse equalization, and we just did it in a way where Asta had a fair fight, or where Asta had a fight. But granted, you'll see if that matters or not. Gojo scaling is going to be really quick and easy because these characters' abilities are actually what takes up the bulk of our time here. For Gojo's attack potency, or how much damage he can dish out, we're going to follow the line of scaling for Gojo being above Jogo, which is horrifically consistent. Or Jogo even goes so far as to say keeping Gojo in a 4-meter radius for a minute of time is an impossible task. Jogo's feat of mountain creation gives him an output on par with the high end of energy needed in order to destroy a large mountain, while the only confirmed scaling for Gojo over this is with his own domain, which is literally the strongest piece of his arsenal. We're going to throw him a bone and say that most, if not all, of his abilities will function on this level. Some may say that going over Gojo's AP is meaningless, but I disagree, seeing his stronger Sinister Mana-based magic can override Asta's anti-magic, both emanating from him and from his sword. So, Gojo's speed. Relatively early in the series, we understand that Maki, is a mid-tier at best. Can react to bullets at point-blank range, with speeds clocking in at Mach 27. While this has its own issues, because there are a lot of statements of people that are very impressive and very fast, surpassing the sound barrier, we're just gonna take this. Gojo would surpass this with his base speed alone, not even the use of his abilities. So let's just say that Gojo is somewhere above that, by a generous margin. We're going to go into that speed amping ability next. It's called Blue. Blue is Gojo's ability to control attractive forces, listen to me here, by creating mathematical impossibilities of matter in which negative amounts of matter are present. In an effort to correct this mistake, the universe pulls in all surrounding matter to close the gap. That was a load of horseshit. I don't care about that. He pulls things, and more importantly for this battle, he pulls himself to amplify his speed. I would explain red, but there's a much better way of explaining it. It's blue, but it pushes. Purple. This is Gojo's real killer weapon when he wants to get a little violent. Purple is the addition of red and blue in order to create a violently rotating ball that erases matter on an atomic level, tearing through whatever it touches. Now, the anime may show purple pulverizing things, but this is what's explained through the manga, so that's what I'm going to stay with. On to Gojo's favorite ability for every Gojo wanker to bring up. We have Infinity. I refuse to sit here for the next 15 minutes and explain this stupid ability. Here is a very ooga booga version presented to me by Cursed Val. Check out his link in the description below. Gojo has a barrier that slows you down until you reach a point where you feel like you've actually hit something, when in fact you've just hit the barrier, slowing you down to such extent where it feels solid. If you want to do any more research on this, look up Infinite Series. It's a violently falling infinite series in which you never reach zero, i.e. Gojo. We have Gojo's last ability that some people tend to forget about. 6 eyes are a relatively unexplained portion of JJK, but there are some things that we know about them that I'm going to give to Gojo here. Number 1 is that it gives Gojo the ability to see someone's technique just by looking at them. And number 2 is that it gives Gojo the ability to actually just never run out of cursed energy. It's pretty impressive. It's actually really, really weird, but the 6 eyes limit Gojo's cursed energy use with every ability so that he can functionally just keep on going forever. So Gojo's stamina is definitely going to be greater than Asta's in this fight, but I think Asta's scaling will make up for it. Asta's scaling is incredibly difficult to get a read on because of some of the qualities of anti-magic that I'll go over later, but we're only going to use his base feats just to throw away all doubt of anti-magic amping his AP or his attack potency. The feat that we're going to specifically be looking at will be Asta using the Black Bull Thrust on the Amped Salamander. While Asta does have added momentum from Vanessa and Finral's magic, I only wanted to point out the fact that Asta can withstand the force of a point-blank Salamander's Breath from an even further amped Third Eye Fauna Salamander combo. Now, according to the databook statement about Fauna, which says that the Salamander's claw or its talon can dry up in the sea in just one swoop, we just have to apply a formula to dictate how much force would be needed in order to dry up even the smallest sea. We get an output on the high end of what would be needed in order to destroy a small country. So Asta has the advantage in attack potency, but unless he can get through infinity, nothing's really happening. So we're going to keep going. Speed here is super easy. Base Asta in chapter 153 is able to deflect a light speed attack that has had its speed quadrupled. Needless to say, all of these base Asta feats would be nothing in comparison to the Asta we're using. So let's just go on to his abilities. Asta's anti-magic is usually his strongest weapon in almost every fight he has in the verse. So I'm just going to explain it right here. Actually, I have two functioning theories on what anti-magic is, and my next big video will be what is anti-magic. But we can definitely describe how it functions for use in this fight. Anti-magic is Asta's ability to nullify magic. This outright nullification seems to only apply to magic composed of regular mana. While Asta's anti-magic is passive, stronger sinister magic can hit and damage him. Whenever we go into Fate Release, it's a relatively simple variation of Asta's anti-magic, where he can erase the effects of magic even after it has been cast. This ability can even work on non-magical damage so long as it was caused by a spell. But this is only with one specific sword, so you have to take that into account. This is also not usually the sword that Asta starts his fights with. Asta has a form of extrasensory perception called Ki. According to Yami, Ki is people looking at you, the sound of their breathing, the motions of their muscles, the vague sense that they're there. Ki is the blanket term for all the different types of life energy the human body releases. Asta makes it incredibly clear, though, that one's Ki is closely tied to their emotions, which wouldn't be an issue in Black Clover, but cursed energy has a basis in negative emotions, so Asta has a greater advantage in this fight than in any fight he's had in his own suit. So where does that bring us? I mean, we have a 4 times light speed Asta in base, and an Asta that can overpower any of Gojo's attacks in base. These are much weaker Astas than the Asta that we're using, so why are you even waiting on a conclusion anymore, bro? If you're part of the 0.1% of my audience that is female, sis. But since we're already talking about analytics, I want to say 2 things. 1, shout out to James Daly for giving me 1.2% of my views. Australia, I see you. 2, subscribe. I see that over half of my views I get aren't subscribed, and it's appalling. If you enjoyed this video or my content as a whole, like this video and subscribe to the channel. But back to the conclusion, just in case you need one. Asta has insanely better scaling in his base form, and he either slices through every one of Gojo's attacks like butter, or Fate Release makes them fizzle all out of existence. The raw speed of Asta's base form and a single anti-magic sword would be enough to do the job. Sorry. Asta would make relatively short work of Gojo, and it wouldn't even be that difficult. But that said, Asta solos. Before we end the video though, there are a few shoutouts I want to do. First of all, I want to shout out Holy Knight J for editing this video. He did it within 3 days. So, bless up. Thank you, boss man. I want to shout out Junbu Art for my profile picture. She usually doesn't allow profile pictures for commercial use, but I reached out to her and she said it was okay, so I just want to shout her out. Her link will be down in the description. I want to shout out Will Bears on Fiverr for the thumbnail. Yes, I paid him, as I did Junbu, but he did an excellent job. Link in the description. Banana Design on Fiverr for the new banner. Yes, I keep using Fiverr. There's one more. But I really like the new banner, and I just want to show some appreciation. Lastly, but not least, doesn't mean anything on Fiverr. Thank you so much for the new outro. It looks amazing, and I'm so glad that I waited to put out this video so that that outro could be there. So guys, about this matchup, please leave them down in the comments below. Alright? See you next time. Hey guys, from what you may have been able to tell by what was posted on my server, and by Jay's laughing emote, this project took a lot longer than we thought it was going to, and I just really, really, really wanted to shout out Holy Knight Jay, because he did incredible on this. I know I shouted him out in the video, but I wanted to make another outro, just saying the amount of effort and time he put into this thing was astounding. You guys should all go check him out. If you ever need anyone to edit anything, hit up my man Jay. See ya.